A very good morning to one and all present over here, and I welcome you to the video podcast event that is scheduled with our chief guest for the convocation, that is Professor Sanghamitra Bandyopadhyay. Welcome, ma'am, to GSFC University. And I would like to request Professor Dr. G.R. Sinha to please felicitate Madam with a bouquet. Yes, sir. All right, before we begin the podcast, I would like to just throw some lights on the brief profile of Professor Sanghamitra Bandyopadhyay. She's an eminent Indian scientist. She has made remarkable contributions to the field of computational biology, machine learning, evolutionary computation, and bioinformatics. As the first woman to serve as the director of the prestigious Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, she has been a pioneer and a role model for aspiring scientists across the nation. In recognition of her outstanding achievements, Professor Bandyopadhyay was awarded the Padma Shri by the Government of India in the year 2022 for her contributions to science and engineering. This prestigious civilian honor highlights her significant role in shaping modern scientific research in India and beyond. A glimpse from her many accolades, Professor Bandyopadhyay was awarded the Infosys Prize in the year 2017 for her groundbreaking work in engineering and computer science, and the World Academy of Sciences Prize for Engineering Sciences in 2018. Moreover, she is also a recipient of the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in the year 2010, one of the India's highest scientific honors. In addition to her research, Professor Bandyopadhyay has held several prominent fellowships, including the J.C. Bose Fellowship, the Humboldt Fellowship from Germany, and Swarna Jayanti Fellowship as well. Her contributions have been internationally recognized, and she has been elected as a fellow of TWAS, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and the International Association for Pattern Recognition, as well as all the major science and engineering academies of India, namely INSA, IASC, NASI, and INAE, and several other prestigious scientific bodies. Professor Bandyopadhyay's leadership at Indian Statistical Institute spans the oversight of 5 national centers and several statistical quality control and operation research units across India. She is also a member of the Prime Minister's Science, Technology, and Innovation Advisory Council, contributing in shaping national science policy. Professor Bandyopadhyay will be our chief guest as well for today's convocation ceremony, where she will inspire and address the next generation of graduates. Professor Bandyopadhyay's inspiring journey, culminating in her Padma Shri Award, serves as a beacon of excellence in the Indian scientific community, reflecting her tireless dedication to advancing scientific research and empowering future generations of innovators. Please give a big round of applause to her. And we are very privileged that we are being a part of this podcast event today, where we will be interacting with her. So now moving forward, I would like to request our student host to take place on the dais. I would like to welcome Mr. Sohail Sheikh from School of Management Studies and Liberal Arts, Ms. Gagi Chatterjee from School of Technology, and Miss Dia Vasani, she's already seated on the dais as she's having some sprain in her leg. That's why, from biotechnology, from School of Science. All right, over to you, students. Please take control of the podcast event.
So, very good morning, ma'am. We are very grateful that you could spare us some time today and be a part of this significant milestone for GSFC University. As well as, I'm also very thankful that you agreed with us for doing the podcast. Just a minute, ma'am. Let me help you. Okay, thank you. So, we are very thankful as well that you agreed with us for doing this podcast today, which is Young Minds in STEM, Inspiring Creativity and Curiosity for Societal Transformation. And with your permission, we can start this, shall we?
Sure, and thank you very much first of all, to Professor Sinha for inviting me to this institution, and also for all of you for having this interaction. I had thought that it would be just like a small, some few students asking a few questions, but this is quite a gathering, and it's always a pleasure to interact with people. Thank you very much.
So, for our podcast, my first question to you is, your journey from your roots to becoming the director of Indian Statistical Institute has truly been an inspiring one. But we are very keen to learn about the key milestones that shaped your path and contributed to your remarkable leadership. Please, ma'am.
So, key milestones, very difficult actually, because I must admit my journey has been a very, very usual journey. Nothing remarkable there. So it just that I did what I was able to do to the best of my ability, and that's it. Many people ask me that I've been in science and engineering, particularly physics, mathematics, and there is a misconception that physics and mathematics do not come naturally to women, which is a misconception, as I insist. So I have been asked many times, how come physics and mathematics? I said those were the only two subjects I was able to do. Rest, physics, chemistry, not physics, sorry, chemistry, mathematics. Oh, why am I coming back to mathematics? Chemistry, biology, history, geography, these were terror for me. So I could do these two subjects and languages. That was all that I was good at. And therefore, this was a natural progression. After class 10th, in those days, we were expected to choose. So a person studying mathematics could not study certain other things, geography or something. So I was asked to choose. I chose whichever had physics and mathematics. And that, of course, brought in the baggage of chemistry and biology also. I was really terrified. And then after 12th, because I was so much in love with physics, it went a natural progression into BSc in physics. I had got into engineering, one engineering institute in Kolkata, which was then called Bengal Engineering College, BE College, one of the oldest engineering colleges after Roorkee, I guess, in the country, which is now called IIEST. So I had gotten there, but then I had also sat for the presidency colleges of one of the most well-known colleges of Kolkata, general degree colleges. So then I got into presidency and I left engineering, came to presidency, studied 3 years of physics, and then found that it had become very, very theoretical, in the sense that till class 12th, I could see what I was doing. See, meaning see in my mind. After 12th, the 3 years of BSc, we had the best of teachers. Okay, there was one teacher, one professor who had taught us, whose name was Amol Rai Chaudhuri. And if you look up Rai Chaudhuri's equation, that's many outstanding work was based on Rai Chaudhuri's equation. So, but I didn't realize the importance of that professor when I was a student there. It's only later that I realized what stalwarts had taught us. But that's, I think, usually what happens. The person you get to see every day, even if your parents are so great, you don't realize who cares. That's what also with my son. We are not great. I'm not claiming that we are great, but we've done some amount. He cares a hoot for that. So so then I found that it had become very theoretical. I was not able to get the intuition of what I was doing. I was doing pages and pages of derivations. I was getting good marks, okay. But then I did not understand what I was doing, why I was doing it. So that intuition went missing. And therefore, I decided that after BSc, I should move. And Calcutta University offered a BTech in computer science after BSc. It was a 3-year BTech. So I joined that. We had some good teachers, but what we really got in Calcutta University was the cultural life. I mean, we were 10 students, just very handful in the class, and we had a beautiful life, I mean, general life. Studies, of course, we did whatever we had to. And there was one professor who said, you know, after BTech, you have to sit for a GATE examination for MTech. And he said that if you do well in my subject, he was a very, he avoided taking classes. But he was very intelligent. And he inspired us by saying that if you get good marks in my, if you get a good score in GATE, a percentage of that I will give in my marks, in my subject. So that way, GATE, we got very much inspired to prepare well for GATE. I did pretty well. I could have got anywhere. But then there were some things that forced me out of I did not want to move out of Kolkata, but my parents sort of pushed me out of the home to IIT Kharagpur. That I would say was a milestone. Going to IIT Kharagpur for my MTech. And that I tell all the students, take the best option that becomes available to you. You might not get the top of the world, but whatever in your caliber you get best, there should be no reason for you, no justification to avoid that. Because the best of the places shape your ideas, shape your thoughts. It's not just about the studying part. It's about the overall vision that gets developed. So then after IIT Kharagpur, I came to ISI for my PhD. Then I joined as a faculty. And then it was very usual, like I did what I was doing to the best of my ability, and then it just happened. Everything after that just happened on the way. I was never ambitious. I was never like dreaming that I would be the director of ISI. What is there also, I don't realize, even now after 10 years of being director. I mean, there's nothing. It's just that you do another job, that's all. And especially when you are leading old institutions, then you remain very rooted, because there are so many senior people who don't let your thoughts fly so high that, oh, you are somebody great. Nothing about that. You remain rooted. You get so much of gali that you realize that you are only one of them. So that is how it went. And first woman director, people keep on saying that. Nothing great about being the first woman director. If women have not been there, some or the other woman would be the first woman director. So it's just that we keep on doing what we are expected to do, make mistakes on the way also. So that's also very important, that we do make mistakes. Even at the level of the director, I made many mistakes, which I now in retrospect think I should not have been making those mistakes. But then you learn from those mistakes and you decide not to repeat those things in future. But as I said, it was it was sort of a usual progression from one step to the other. That's all.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think Diya is going to take on forward from here.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing some key insights. Your journey has been truly inspiring. So my next question to you would be, as the first woman director of Indian Statistical Institute, what key changes have you implemented? What challenges have you faced? And what advice would you give to others striving to drive a change in the STEM field?
Striving to drive a change, you said. So change is very, very painful. Change is very difficult. But change has to be made. The more agile, the more nimble a system is, better it is for that system. But older systems, they take time to change. We all know that. There is an inertia. People don't want to come out of their comfort zones and face, just step out of those comfort zones and then see how the world takes them. So that is there. Change is very difficult, that is what. But then one has to constantly strive to improve. Sometimes people tell me that if things are not broken, why do you try to mend it? So any change that you bring in, as if there has to be something wrong, only then you should change. That is a general notion, which is also not correct in the sense that things may be working fine, but still you need to change because you need to think of 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, how the world will look like, and you have to adapt from now. Maybe things are going perfectly fine now. But I've actually faced this thing many times. Some senior faculty have told me that don't try to mend things which are not broken. Well, then what you do is because you cannot simply, one thing that I say, you have to choose your battles wisely. You cannot constantly fight the system. So then you slow down a little, wait for the opportune moment, and then restart. So that's how I would advise to take the changes, unless the system is so agile and nimble that it is amenable to fast changes. In old systems, actually, the change has to be brought in, but a little gradually, because a dramatic change often leads to a lot of damage. So that way, and well, you said, what was the other question? That what changes have I brought in? Yeah, little changes, so that one thing that we realized, and we were already looking at the IIT model then, about the lack of girls in the higher education. In fact, we've seen that when the entry level bar is not that high, there are enough girls in the system. But when the entry level bar is very high, like the IIT exams or ISI examination in my institute, it's very high level, then there are very few girls in the system. One reason which IITs had probably already realized, and we were also, in ISI, of course, training for cracking the ISI examination is difficult. IITs, there's a lot of training going on, primarily because also IIT exams are multiple choice type. Our exams have a combination of multiple choice as well as a little long answers. And long answers is very difficult to train. And our faculty members sit down. Every year they decide that they will have a simpler question paper this time. And then they discuss the questions. And then if they are able to solve it, then they think that it's a very easy question. That is not to be given for the entrance examination. So they give questions which they also find difficulty in solving. So finally they end up with a more complicated, more difficult question paper. But that's how we've been able to actually get the best of the best. And so what we realized is, especially for other competitive exams, where there's a lot of training going on, the women, the girls in the family, the parents may not leave the girls to go at odd places, odd hours to get those trainings. And without those training, it's actually difficult to crack those examinations. So the girls were losing out. Possibly that is one of the reasons the girls are not there in enough numbers. So supernumerary seats is something that we have also brought in our system, that those who are slightly below the cutoff, from amongst them, we require a certain percentage of girls in the class. So we go down that threshold for the girls only. And I think the result has been that those who are below the threshold, the girls who've come up into the system through that supernumerary route, by the end of the first or the second year, they are as good as anybody else. So it just shows that possibly the opportunity went missing. And also our exam system is such that it stresses so much on how much you can remember. That, but then with lakhs of students sitting for exam, I mean, it's much easier said than done, that how to solve this problem where you have to be innovative. Your innovativeness will be tested. That's much easier said than actually you can do it, because lakhs of students, how to evaluate? There was one interesting way of this thing was posed by one of the professors of IIT Kharagpur is, nowadays, what our exams are, it's a race. So you're sitting on a horse at the start line, and you're asked to rush to the end line, finishing line, and the fastest you can go, then you win. But if the question is now put differently, tell me what you saw on the way. Then immediately it's not the speed which matters. You have to actually observe. So if our questions, if we could be innovative, and this is an open challenge for all of us, how can we design the questions so that lakhs of students can be evaluated? At the same time, the evaluation is not just on what you have been able to memorize by practice and practice and practice. Practice is important. but then also how much you can innovate, how to test that. So that's actually an open problem. I mean, we should think about it. Many people are thinking about it because people realize that the way things are going is not proper. It needs a change, so that we can pick up the potential ones. See, it's not how much you know, but how much you can deliver in future. What science, what inventions, what discoveries you can bring in, only if you have that potential. So that judging that potential, that is something for all of us to discuss, and change our examination system, change our primary education, secondary education, because things have to start from the root. We cannot only just do when the fruits are about to come, then do some epsilon plus minus there and try to resolve problems. It has to be solved from the root, and that means right from the childhood. This has to be addressed.
Thank you, ma'am. Now Sohail would take over.
Thank you, ma'am. Your journey and advice are really motivating and are pivotal guidelines for those who are really trying hard to drive change in STEM. I would like to know about your mindset while making decisions. So my next question is based on that. You began your journey with BSc in physics, but later transitioned to computer science. What made you take that decision? And does your background in physics influence the way you approach computational problems?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for that question. Yeah, the reason why I took that decision, I already mentioned that it had become very theoretical, where the intuition went missing. I like to think of problems in my mind. If I cannot see what is happening, then it's very difficult for me to remember. That's how, I mean, I was so terrified of biology and chemistry. Or inorganic chemistry, for example, once you give the dilute acid, that some color comes. If you give a concentrated form of the acid, another color comes. Why? I have no idea. So that is why physics I liked. But then, as I said, that physics became so theoretical, it was my fault. We had the best teachers. I was missing that intuition. So again, I say that it was my fault that I did not dive deep into the subjects, maybe, possibly. So I wanted to do something which was more hands-on, where I can see what is happening. And computer science, I took to computer science like a fish to water. It was so logical. You didn't have to remember what step follows the other. It logically followed. But the physics training had already opened up my mind. So physics training, although I have forgotten all my physics, BSc physics, but something something is there. When I think, I have to think in terms of the physics, in terms of the objects that are there. So that thought process training, physics training, has helped. And I've seen those who did in our times this BSc BTech, coming from the physics background, they have all done very well in life. Of course, then the numbers were also small. So if the numbers were larger, then maybe what I'm saying may not have been correct. But physics training has indeed helped open up my mind. And then computer science training, it was so logical. Those trainings also helped me in approaching all the problems in a very rational way, logical way. And when I take decisions, I think of how I would have liked that decision if I were on the receiving end of that decision. So that is how usually I take my decisions. And also I have seen that the rules that are there, common sense, these are based on common sense. Even if you do not know the rules, if you think, you apply your common sense, that what is the right way to, what right path to take in a certain junction, then the common sense and the rule position will very often be the same. So common sense approach is always, I think, has been my guideline for taking decisions. Okay, and also when taking decisions at our level, at this level, many times we have to say no. This cannot be done, and therefore, you have to be able to say no, even to your friends. So that is how things have. And as you asked, that yes, physics training has helped me. Although I don't remember the physics that I learned, but it has helped me in shaping my thoughts.
So thank you for this answer, ma'am. I think the belief in self and self-introspection is very important for anybody who is like in a folk-like position in the direction of pivoting their career from a path to a different path. And that is, we can all take inspiration from your journey and we can all implement that in our lives as well,
Sure.
to have belief in self and definitely self-introspecting. As you said that since physics was becoming theoretical and you wanted something that you could see and you could logically solve, so definitely. Thank you. And that brings me to my next question. That is, throughout your journey, you must have been mentored by some exceptional individuals. So can you talk about a mentor who had a significant impact on your career choice or your research direction?
You would laugh if I tell you who that individual mentor is. But of course, yes, see, when I was young, small, in my school days, I moved around in different cities of the country because my father had a transferable job. So 2 years here, 3 years there, etc. So that way, of course, school teachers always have a great influence on any person. But since I was moving from one place to another, not sticking to one place. So, I mean, that way I was in awe of all my teachers. I always wanted to be a teacher when I was very small, and I think many of us really have visualized, because whatever you see in front of your eyes, that's what you want to become. My son, just a aside, my son wanted to be the bus conductor. So, and we had to play the role of the passengers, and he would get us tickets and everything, because that was his, very beginning, bus conductor. He wanted to be a bus conductor, which is also fine. I mean, no problem with that. So, yeah. So, what was the main question that you had? I mean, about
A mentor who had a
mentor,
significant
yeah.
impact on your
Yeah,
career.
that's right. So then in IIT, of course, there were outstanding teachers. I could name quite a few of them. Then when one comes for PhD, the supervisor becomes an important influence on one's life. And my supervisor was also an important influence. But the person who actually made me realize the potential that I had was, again, as I said, you would laugh if I said so, but that is a fact, was at that point of time my future husband. So he was 2 years my senior in BTech in Calcutta University. And when people went for, seeing movies or things like that, he was training me for the GATE examination. So that's how it went, actually. And till BSc, I was studying, of course. I mean, I was a sincere student, but I never went really deep. But it was that influence which, from BTech days, and so I really excelled. From BTech, I actually excelled. And so that was quite a bit of driving force, and that's also a lesson for the boys. I see very few boys here, but boys in the auditorium. The girls need to be given space. Not much help is needed. Just give them space, whatever they do. And also remember that the girls come in a package. If you get the good, you will also have to accept the bad. That I used to tell my parents also. Of course, because my parents said that, oh, you don't do what other girls do. You don't do this, you don't do that. Then I said, I used to tell my mother that when I get awards, you go around telling people, oh, my daughter has got this award, my daughter has got that award. So then I come as a package. What I don't do also, you have to accept. So that is how, I mean, and it is very important to give the space, because girls have the talent, they have the quality. They will excel. You don't need to pull girls up. Of course, some help is needed for any person. It's not just boys and girls only. Everybody needs help. So that help, of course, I was fortunate to get that help from every corner. My parents, my in-laws, my husband, my son, everybody had, I mean, if your family stands against you, that's the worst fight that you may have to fight. So my family, including my in-laws, never bothered me. In fact, my mother bothered me more than my mother-in-law did. But that is what helped me. And my family accepted that I would be absent from home. My son accepted it. My mother used to tell me that it's not good for the son. Well, maybe it has not been, I don't know, future will tell. But I was never a homely type of person. Like, even today, if I have to run the household, I would be like terrified. So somebody else runs it for me. My only duty is to give that person the money, and then everything else is taken care of. Till now, touch wood, I've been able to survive like that. I don't know how long. But so, as I said, yes, mentor in that sense, there's no single person whom I can identify, but the maximum push that I got was from my husband.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that answer. And now Dia can take on.
Yes, ma'am, I agree. We definitely need a mentor to drive us towards success. So this leads me to my next question. How can we foster creativity in education, improve STEM learning in India using global insights to drive social transformation?
I think we have to start from the basics, meaning from the school education. There's so much of pressure on the kids these days. When are they going to think? And unless the mind is free, innovation doesn't come. It's not, innovation cannot be trained. You cannot be trained to be innovative. Mind has to be free. I mean, the great scientists who have who've been here in India, they were all from the very less pressure type government system, government school systems, if you think of that. So we have to relook at our education. And class 1, class 2, we expect the students, young poor kids, to know what is grown in Australia and what is the minerals in South Africa. There's absolutely no need for that. The things that need to be taught up to a certain class, maybe 5, 6, is mathematics, languages, and interaction with nature. These are the only things, and maybe some, sports and music, whichever interests the child. These other activities, only mathematics, languages, and after that, after maybe class 8, class 9, if then the other subjects come in, that's also important. But then one has to be prepared that the pressure will go up significantly. In our system, the pressure is there from the very beginning. So that kills a lot of innovativeness. So that is where I think we have to relook. And science, one has to be very innovative, constantly, that thought process, it goes on in the mind. But because of our huge population and the pressure of the population, pressure to excel, number one is from a very young age, children are taught that the only thing that matters is your success, which is so wrong, because we see the ill effects of that on many, many children now, on many youngsters. That pressure is too much. So if that, but what to do with so many people? Again, as I said, I mean, we can always criticize, but being critical is not the only thing. We have to evolve and bring out solutions. What are the solutions? Okay, so whatever this country is doing, but it is for us to think and bring up solutions. This my main thing is from a young age, to reduce pressure, so that the mind is free, can think, and then allowing the children these days, in fact, now, you can go to any area and you can excel. But the only thing that now there's a great demand is quality. You have to be a very high quality in whatever you do, whatever you can do. In our times, that was not so. I mean, till our time, at least doing the basic sciences was quite important. Physics was very important, etc. Then came this engineering. Everybody had to be an engineer or a doctor. There's nothing beyond that. So that was a very bad time, actually. But now again, any career you want to choose, you may choose, and you can excel there, provided it now demands very, very high level of hard work. Now you cannot just sit back, relax, and then life will take care of you. No, that doesn't happen. Now, hard work is very important. But area is now not a bar. You can be whatever you want to, lawyer, you can go to the sciences, to the arts, or whichever area you wish. You can excel. You can be a world leader there. But hard work, it demands huge hard work now.
Thank you, ma'am. Now Sohail will take over.
Thank you, ma'am. Your insights offer a powerful roadmap for driving social transformation in India. The next question I want to ask you is, India has demonstrated remarkable progress in STEM. Yet a noticeable gap remains in converting academic research into industry application. What initiatives would you propose to mend this gap?
Yeah, these initiatives, I mean, not just that I propose, the country is actually looking at that very actively. It has already, I mean, we all know that this gap exists because what we are poor in is hands on. I know of, I mean, quite very highly qualified computer scientists, for example. If they come into the office in the morning and they switch on the computer and it doesn't switch on, the first thing is they'll do is call up the computer center, not even checking whether the switch, I mean, the board in the plug point is, it's plugged in or not. So let alone, you know, fiddle around with the back of the computer, whether this is there, this is that. So our training has been such that we are not really encouraged a lot to do the hands-on stuff, okay? But we are very strong theoretically, and that the world also acknowledges. Our theoretical knowledge is very strong, but when it comes to real implementation, we are lacking. That has been realized quite a bit by the country also, and therefore a lot of initiatives have been brought in. For example, in the universities, in the IITs, etc., we have something called Professor of Practice, where you get professors from the university, from the industry in the universities and the IITs. Then you have these strong internship programs where the students are expected to go and spend time in the industry. The faculty members are expected to go and spend time. Consultancy, startup culture, entrepreneurship, everything is being now encouraged in great measure. So the effect of that we will see maybe from 10 years later. Okay, what we need in this country is the inbuilt Googles and the Amazons and other, not just these are all software industry, but other manufacturing and everything that the world takes from India. That is what we want to. We have the population, the young youth. We have that dividend here, where for the next 30 years we have that advantage, and we have to convert that advantage of youth in our population, so that when this advantage doesn't remain, after 30 years that's also going to go away in India, then we should be able to, we should have already made our systems in such a way that we can tide over that crisis also. So many initiatives are happening, and more are needed, of course. The seamless movement between academia and industry, that is very important. Industry doesn't understand how the academia works. Academia really doesn't understand how the industry works. Only if there's faculty exchange or the industry people coming and sitting in the in academic institutions. But that has already started, and that will only grow in the country.
Thank you, ma'am, for this thoughtful response. So my last question to you would be, there has been a commendable rise in AI, and the recent trend in engineering colleges is the bulk admission in the field of computer science. So what can students do differently to avoid setbacks in an oversaturated job scenario, according to your experience?
That is one unfortunate thing which is happening in the country, is almost every other area is getting neglected. And everybody is flocking towards computer science, IT, and now AI, which will not be good in the long run. That has to change. And I believe this ISER model has brought in a bit of change. Science students, there are quite a few students, good students, who are opting for science careers. But everything else, like mechanical engineering, electrical, electronics, electrical, computer science, that will remain important. But then there are, in India, for example, hardware industry. We struggle. We don't have any expertise, okay? So semiconductor industry, government has already woken up to that fact. There are now big initiatives happening. National missions which are happening. For example, National Quantum Mission, National AI Mission is also there, as you said. But everybody is jumping into this AI thing. You can't help it because that's where the money is. So the majority of the students will come here. There's nothing surprising about that. Market forces are very strong forces. You can't help it. But there must be core knowledge is very important. Whether you do AI, whether you do data science, whichever way you want to call it, you must be good. Even if you're doing AI or something, you must be good in computer science. And the other thing is mathematics. Our mathematics training is not that great. I will tell you one experience I had. I was in a place called ICTP in Italy. It's in Trieste. ICTP is International Center for Theoretical Physics on the eastern coast of Italy. And it was set up by Professor Abdus Salam. If you've not heard about his name, please look up. Physicist from Pakistan. He'd set up that ICTP. So we were there, and as you know, I work in computational biology, and there was to be a lecture, a series of lectures in computational biology. So I thought that, in fact, it was more in biology. So I thought that, this would be, fantastic for me, and I would go. I went and sat in the first class. 3-4 slides I understood, and thereafter it went into very high mathematics. So the thing is, those who are doing biology also, particularly computational biology, etc., the level of mathematics training is at a very high level in the advanced countries. That is something that is weak here. And we have to, whether you study biology, whether you study whatever, mathematics training is extremely important. Okay, so that is something we have to look into. But what exactly was, again, I got into? What can students? So learn your mathematics well. That is what I wanted to drive at. Learn your mathematics well, especially those in the engineering disciplines, whichever engineering you are in. And you, these days, you cannot say that there was no adequate resource. My teachers did not teach me. Who cares? Nowadays, there's so much of online resource available. Teach yourself, train yourself in mathematics to the maximum. That is very, very important. So that is what the students should do differently. And inculcate rational thinking, scientific temper. Whether you're in science or not, doesn't matter. The scientific temper is extremely important. And these days, know how to do these AI tools, because not everybody, those in computer science, please be most aware that if you are also using the tools just like anybody else is, then there's no point in studying computer science. Okay, you must have the knowledge, the depth to develop those tools. And the others learn how to use the tools. Because now, without those tools, there's no survival. But then don't get married to a tool, in the sense that, because these tools will change very fast. So you have to be nimble, you have to learn to adapt. But you have to know basics of data science. Now, what has become important is knowing statistics to a certain level, at least the basic statistics, so that you can deal with the data. Data is everywhere. In whatever domain you're working in, there's data. How to, properly analyze the data. Suppose there's a data and you use a statistical test to establish some hypothesis that you have. See, research always, and research is very important. That's also, like a large percentage of our students' population will go into the industry. No problem with that. But a small population, but not an insignificant population, has to come into research. And that is how our university training also has to drive the students so that they become research-minded. So, because unless you have your own research, have your own research results, have your own patents, have your own knowledge, until knowledge is generated in the country, we will never become a developed country. So for that, we have to generate knowledge. Right now, till now, India has primarily been a service-driven economy. We give service to others, okay? We have to be a knowledge-driven economy to be at the top. And we aspire to be at the top, right? Yes. We aspire. We are not happy with just being a developing country. We've had decades of being a developing country. How long? So that is where we all think, we all aspire to be the top. And the world also acknowledges, but we have miles to go. We have miles to go to be there.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, as you said, that we do have miles to go, and we have, the country as a whole has also realized that there's a definitely the bridging the gap is not being done very nicely from academia to research, sorry, not research, industry. So, as you said that many of the institutes and fields and educational centers are taking up this thing where there is a flow of what do I say, industry experts into the into the academia, so that there is a free flow of knowledge, and there is a really a nice way for students to learn that how the things in reality really work. And I would like to add my point in this, that we're actually very lucky over here in GSFC University that many of our visiting faculties, we are having regular classes. They are all of them are industrial experts. And in my last 2 semesters, actually, we were trained in one of the very important subjects, which was, I'm doing chemical, and it was chemical process safety. Safety is definitely very important. So
Very important,
we
of
were
course.
very fortunate that we were able to get training by the vice president of GSFC company itself about training and the importance that chemical engineers should know. And not just in the field of chemical engineering, I mean, I would say all the other fields that a university provides. And I hope in the span of 30 years, the students of GSFC University will take this opportunity, learn from the industry experts, and the internship opportunity that actually our university has mandated that after the completion of each semester, we are to have an internship right from the very beginning of our journey. So
Right. I'm sure this university students will make us proud. And also, it's very important to identify the problems and try to solve problems of our own. For example, uh, fertilizers, because this is Gujarat State Fertilizer Corporation. What innovation can we bring? You see, organic farming, not everybody can afford the products, right? How to make it affordable so that, because with all these pesticides and chemicals, it's also playing havoc with our systems. How to bring in that innovation so that it becomes affordable even to the villagers themselves to consume. Because we might, I mean, we have to take care of the entire population. It's not that we can let aside, chhod dete unko. Because if you see that if you have a foda, even on a small finger, that pains the entire body. So we cannot leave anybody behind, but it's a great challenge how to take everybody along. But we have to, and that's where all our students face this challenge, that how they can innovate. Our farmers, kisi saal सूखा है तो किसी साल बाढ़ है. And they are poor things. I mean, they don't even have enough to eat, let alone if they are ill, then what happens if they fall sick, then what happens, forget about those things. How to make, how to bring in those changes, those innovations, new products, that will give them a level of security, whatever. These are the challenges that we have to think of, our own challenges, not think of the stylish problems which are there in the world. What are challenges India faces, and if we can, through our innovations, through our discoveries, new scientific discoveries, we have to bring in those solutions.
yes, ma'am, definitely, I agree with you. And being said that, university also has this guitar cell, which is the innovation center for, and it encourages students. There is a lot of funding going on over there, and we are encouraged by our teachers, professors, president, provost, everybody. Innovate something, try, do the solve the problems. Like as you said, the fertilizer one. So many of the projects have been done on fertilizers as well. Then there is this plastic waste, which is the
Yeah.
recycle economy, which we
Great
are
problem
facing
for
right
India.
now.
Yeah.
That is also like upcoming and new projects which are getting continuous funding, and they are reaching like state levels, national levels. So that is also going on. I mean, I hope like we can also contribute as students from GSFC University in the span of 30 years, that we are play a vital role in the development and become a developed country
Sure.
in the span of 30 years. And that's it from my side. Thank you very much for answering all of our questions.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here.
Thank
very
you so much,
Our
ma'am, for
pleasure.
the wonderful insights. I would now like to welcome audience. If they have any questions, they can ask. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very engaging and inspiring session. I'm a faculty here in biological sciences. So my question is like with the advancement of this computational things and quantum computation and the CRISPR technologies, what would be the fate or the future of the STEM to reshaping your country's life and intelligence and humanity and health sector?
Yeah, so this CRISPR technology has enabled gene editing and everything in a large way. It will require time to understand how expensive, how costly it is to play around with nature. So it will take a little time. But that is where research is going to go. Whether we like it or not, whether we want to do it or it should not be done, ethics and everything, all at their place. But research will continue. Scientists will continue experimenting with strange things. And the more technology is advancing, as you said, CRISPR is a great advancement in that technology. And computational biology, because biology is throwing up tons of data. So without these computational tools, statistical methods, it's now impossible to analyze. But then computational biology will only end somewhere. After that, the biologist has to take over, the chemist, the biochemist, whoever. So what I say is, because I do computational biology, it's only computation that I do. I develop algorithms. So biologist is always looking at a small needle in a very large haystack. Through our methods, we try to reduce the size of the haystack. And that is going to happen. AI will give you solutions, but then those solutions have to be taken up by the domain experts and then tried out. Drug design. It is such a difficult problem. And also it's a constant competition with nature, because the bacteria or the virus mutates and changes itself. So whatever drugs you've designed so far, gone. So how to, it's a constant competition. Okay, we are in competition with nature. And it's so difficult to compete with nature. Our SARS-CoV-2 has shown us that we are puppets. If there's a volcanic, I was in Pompeii just a few weeks back, Pompeii meaning the city close to Naples, which went under the ashes after the Vesuvius. There was the volcano. So it was under 6 or 8 meters of ashes for about many centuries. About 2,000 years, a little less, 1,900 years, it was under the ashes, and now it has been rediscovered. Even as late as June 2024, new things have been brought out. So in front of nature, we are nowhere. So that is what, these technologies and computational and AI methods, they will play a very big role. AI, the way it is going, it's like nuclear energy in the hands that uses it, the minds that uses that AI tool. It will have its good effects or bad. You can also use that AI tool to, cause great disruption. We will see videos of things which have never happened. We will hear words which have never been spoken. And that can create, in a big country like ours, that can create riots. And people are misusing. But the research, that is where now internationally the focus is on regulations. How to regulate AI now. A huge focus. Those who have been called father of AI, they are now saying that stop the research. Because the way things are going, the way these large language models, it's called large language models, the way they have come in, they are doing like almost everything. But then the potential for damage is so high. Once you start controlling, and that will come in the few decades, controlling the human brain from outside, remotely, then it's a great, where it will go, positive, negative, we don't know. So that is where, if we can keep the usage for the good of humanity, good for us. We have to ring fence the discoveries. But discoveries will keep on, inventions will keep on happening.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to request Ms. Gargi to please give a vote of thanks.
As this podcast has come to an end, we extend our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Professor Sanghamitra Bandyopadhyay for her invaluable insights and inspiring words on nurturing curiosity and creativity in the young minds in STEM. We would also like to thank our Provost, Dr. Jia Sinha Sir, Dean, School of Technology, Dr. Sanjukta Bose Goswami, and last but not the least, our IT team, our marketing team, with our senior management faculties and our fellow students. Thank you all for joining and making this a great success. I now request the dignitaries, along with our chief guest and the podcast team, to come up on the stage for a group photo.